The phone rang at 8:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, its shrill tone cutting through the quiet hum of our Del Mar home. Outside, the Pacific lashed against the cliffs with unusual ferocity, the kind of winter storm that made our glass-walled living room feel like the prow of a ship. I stared at the caller ID Rita Archer, my wife of 12 years, and knew before answering that this call would change everything. She was supposed to be in Phoenix. Another emergency regional sales summit for Remedium Pharmaceuticals. The third one this quarter. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Professional habit, never seemed too eager. George. Her voice had that polished, boardroom smoothness I'd come to dread. I need to tell you something. I set down the 10K report I'd been reviewing for Coastal Wealth Management's biggest client. The Mont Blanc pen she'd given me last anniversary, back when we still pretended to care about such gestures, rolled across the marble countertop. I'm not coming home. The grandfather clock in the hall ticked twice before she continued. There's someone else. Lorenzo. A pause just slightly too long. My boss. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched a fishing boat's lights bob violently in the distance. The storm was worsening. He understands what I need, she said. Then the knife twist, delivered with clinical precision. I initiated the transfer from our joint account today. My attorney said it was the smart play. 12 years of marriage. 12 years of me quietly moving decimal points while she spent the results. And she'd chosen the one account that required dual authorization for withdrawals over $10,000. I understand, I said. That's it. Her voice cracked like an over-leveraged stock. Just I understand. I hung up without another word and opened the Coastal Wealth client portal on my laptop. The blue glow illuminated my face in the dark kitchen. There it was in crisp Helvetica. Transfer request, $325,000, pending authorization. The system had flagged it for dual approval. My approval. I poured 2 fingers of Macallan 18, the bottle we'd been saving for a special occasion, and watched the storm rage over the Pacific. Somewhere in Phoenix, Rita was probably already celebrating with Lorenzo Cole, confident she'd just outmaneuvered her boring numbers guy husband. She didn't know I'd been preparing for this moment for months. The first signs had appeared 6 months earlier. Tiny discrepancies at first, the kind most husbands would miss. But in wealth management, we're trained to spot anomalies. Red flag number 1. Weekend conferences that didn't appear on Remedium's internal calendar. Rita had always traveled for work, but suddenly her business trips aligned perfectly with Lorenzo's travel schedule. San Diego to Seattle, LA to Chicago. Always the same hotels, always overlapping dates. Red flag number 2, the duplicate expenses. A $422 charge at Eddie V's in La Jolla on the same night she'd texted me a selfie from her lonely room service in San Jose. The math didn't lie. Red flag number 3, the midnight call from L. Cole that woke me 3 weeks ago. Her whispered excuse about a compliance emergency didn't explain the background noise, laughter, clinking glasses, the distinct murmur of a hotel bar. In finance, we call this pattern recognition. The same skill that lets me predict market corrections told me my marriage was about to crash. So I prepared. 3 months ago, I'd quietly restructured our assets with the precision of a hedge fund manager rebalancing a volatile portfolio. The real money, $1.2 million, disappeared into a Coastal Wealth discretionary trust. The joint account? A honey pot with just enough to tempt her. She'd signed the paperwork without reading it, too busy texting under the table at our last anniversary dinner. Probably messaging Lorenzo. Now, as the storm rattled our floor-to-ceiling windows, I sipped my scotch and watched the pending transfer blink on my screen. Approve or deny? I clicked neither. Instead, I opened the encrypted folder on my desktop labeled Project Lighthouse. Inside were spreadsheets tracking every discrepancy, screenshots of suspicious emails, and PDFs of the restructured accounts. The grandfather clock struck 9. Somewhere in Phoenix, Rita was probably already spending that $325,000 in her head. Little did she know her smart play had just triggered mine. The morning after the call, I woke at 5:15 a.m., same as every weekday for the past 15 years. The storm had passed, leaving the Del Mar coastline sparkling under a deceptively cheerful sunrise. I methodically prepared my French press, the ritual grounding me. The kitchen still smelled of last night's scotch and salt air. My laptop sat where I'd left it, the transfer request still glowing on the screen. Pending approval. The first paper trail had started 6 months ago, though I hadn't recognized it at the time. A simple calendar discrepancy. Rita's Outlook showed a regional sales summit in Portland, but Remedium's internal calendar listed no such event. At first, I'd assumed an administrative error. Then the charges started appearing. Hotel bar, the Nines Portland, 89.50. Room service minus the Nines Portland, 89.50. Room service minus the Nines Portland minus 127.80. All billed to Rita's corporate Amex. All dated the same weekend. Lorenzo Cole's expense reports showed him at the Nines Portland. That's when I created the spreadsheet. Tab 1. Rita's claimed travel dates versus actual credit card charges. Tab 2. Cross-referenced with Lorenzo's published travel schedule. Tab 3. Duplicate expenses, 2 room services, 2 minibar charges. The patterns emerged quickly, like how Rita always upgraded to King Suites on solo trips, or how her Uber receipts showed trips to Coronado on nights she claimed to be in Pasadena. The smoking gun came 3 months ago. Rita had left her email open on our shared home computer. There, between spam from Saks and a seamless receipt, was the confirmation. Reservation confirmed. Ocean View Suite, Hotel Del Coronado. Guests are Archer +1. Special requests: champagne on arrival, late checkout. The reservation date? Our actual anniversary. That night, I'd quietly begun restructuring our finances. The process took weeks. First, the new trust documents from Coastal Wealth's legal department. Then the gradual asset transfers. Never more than $50,000 at a time to avoid triggering alerts. The final piece came last month. I'd suggested we update our account security after that Wells Fargo breach in the news. Rita had barely looked up from her phone when she signed the dual authorization agreement. Now, as my coffee brewed, I reviewed the paper trail one last time. Spreadsheets, 87 tabs of travel discrepancies. Bank records, showing the restructured accounts. The screenshot, Hotel Del reservation. The pending transfer, $325,000 in limbo. The doorbell rang at 7:30 a.m. Priya Sharma, Rita's colleague and occasional drinking buddy, stood on our doorstep looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Her usually impeccable bob was messy, and she clutched a Louis Vuitton duffel like a life preserver. "George," she forced a smile. Rita asked me to pick up some things. I stepped aside. Her jewelry box is in the safe. She knows the code. Priya hovered in the foyer. She also wanted me to check if the transfer went through. The real reason for this visit. I led her to the kitchen and turned my laptop screen toward her. The blue text glared in the morning light. Transfer status, pending approval. Priya's perfectly lined lips parted. She's going to be furious. I sipped my coffee. That's her choice. As Priya packed Rita's things, the La Perla lingerie I'd bought in Paris, the emerald necklace from our 5th anniversary, I finalized my own preparations. At 8:45 a.m., I left Priya in the master closet and drove to my office at Coastal Wealth. The morning staff barely glanced up as I passed. Just another Tuesday for them. The perfect cover. Inside my private office, I logged into the back-end banking portal. One command would approve Rita's transfer. Another would deny it. I did neither. Instead, I initiated a new transfer, $50,000 from the trust to a separate account. Emergency funds. Then I composed an email to Jerry Stone, my attorney. Per our discussion, please proceed with Phase 2. Documentation attached. The attached folder contained everything. The spreadsheet, the bank records, the screenshot, and one new addition, a recording of last night's call. California is a two-party consent state, but the voicemail Rita left immediately after, which I'd saved, more than covered my bases. At noon, my phone buzzed with the first of what would become 17 missed calls from Rita. I silenced it and went to lunch. The 17th call came at 3:47 p.m., just as the marine layer began rolling over the La Jolla coastline. I watched my phone vibrate across my desk at Coastal Wealth Management, Rita's name flashing like a stock market alert. I let it go to voicemail. Again, Priya's visit this morning had been the opening gambit. Rita's flurry of calls marked the middle game. I knew the endgame was coming. I just needed to let her make the next move. My computer pinged with a new email from Jerry Stone. The subject line read, TRO drafted, filing tomorrow a.m. I minimized it just as my office door burst open. Jesus Christ, George. Mark Reynolds, my junior analyst, stood panting in the doorway. His tie was crooked, his forehead glistening. There's a woman in the lobby screaming at Janine. Says she's your wife. I closed my laptop with deliberate calm. What exactly is she saying? That you're stealing her money. That she'll have us all fired. Mark lowered his voice. She's, making a scene. I straightened my cuffs and stood. Let's go see the show. The Coastal Wealth lobby was all glass and brushed steel, designed to whisper serious money to nervous clients. Right now, it echoed with Rita's fury. You can't keep ignoring me. She spotted me and lunged forward, her Valentino heels clicking like gunshots on the marble. Our receptionist Janine shot me a look that said deal with this. Rita looked different. Not the polished pharmaceutical executive who left for Phoenix yesterday. Her blonde bob was mussed, her usually impeccable makeup smudged under her eyes. She clutched her Birkin like a weapon. You emptied our accounts, she hissed. I guided her toward an empty conference room, nodding at gawking colleagues. The door hadn't even closed before she whirled on me. That money is mine. I leaned against the glass table. Actually, it's in a trust. One you signed off on. Her perfectly sculpted brows furrowed. What? Last April. The paperwork you didn't read. I tapped my Mont Blanc against my palm. Dual authorization requirement? Ring any bells? Her face went through three emotions in rapid succession. Confusion, realization, then cold fury. You planned this. I said nothing. Let the silence accuse me. Rita's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, Lorenzo, no doubt, and shoved it back in her bag. When she looked up, her expression had shifted into something softer. Familiar. The face she used on skeptical doctors to push Remedium's newest opioid. George. She reached for my hand. Let's talk about this at home. I stepped back. Your key no longer works. Changed the locks this morning. Her mask shattered. You bastard. The shout brought heads turning outside the glass walls. Do you know what Lorenzo said about you? Called you a human spreadsheet. No passion, no vision. Just enough vision to protect my assets, I interrupted. Speaking of which, I pulled an envelope from my jacket. Jerry Stone's office filed the divorce petition this morning. You'll be served officially tomorrow. She stared at the envelope like it was a live grenade. You can't. Already did. I adjusted my cufflinks. Given the attempted asset concealment, Jerry is confident the judge will award me the house. But you're welcome to fight it. Rita's breathing turned ragged. I recognized the signs. The same tells she had when losing an argument. Her gaze darted to my laptop bag. The transfer, she demanded. Approve it. I smiled. No. Something in her snapped. She grabbed the closest object, a glass paperweight from our trip to Venice, and hurled it at the window. The tempered glass shuddered but held. Security arrived 30 seconds later. I watched from the conference room as they escorted my wife out of the building, her shouts fading into the elevator. Back in my office, I poured 2 fingers of the Macallan I kept in my bottom drawer. The scotch burned going down, but not as much as Rita's last words. Lorenzo was right. You're just a glorified accountant. My computer chimed. New email from Priya Sharma. George, Rita's at the Waverly drinking martinis with Lorenzo. They're talking about suing Coastal Wealth. Thought you should know. I typed a one-word reply. Thanks. If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video. Then I opened the encrypted folder labeled Project Lighthouse and clicked on the newest edition. A series of screenshots Priya had allegedly accidentally sent me last week. Rita and Lorenzo at Hotel Delegate Rita and Lorenzo at Nobu. Rita and Lorenzo reviewing what looked like Remedium's confidential drug trial reports. Industrial espionage. Federal prison stuff. I attached 3 choice images to an email to Jerry Stone with the subject line, leverage. As I hit send, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Evans? A woman's voice. Melanie Barnett from Remedium HR. We need to talk. I leaned back in my chair. About your wife and Lorenzo Cole. A pause. And why the FBI just raided our compliance office. Outside my window, the marine layer had swallowed the coastline whole. Somewhere in that fog, Rita was making her last bad bet. Melanie Barnett from Remedium HR waited at a corner table in the dimly lit confines of the Lion's Share, a speakeasy-style bar tucked beneath San Diego's Gaslamp Quarter. The kind of place where pharmaceutical executives went to have conversations they didn't want overheard. I spotted her immediately, mid-40s, severe black bob, fingers drumming against a manila folder. She didn't stand when I approached. Sit down, Mr. Evans. She pushed a tumbler of Macallan toward me, my brand. We have problems. I took my time settling into the leather booth. FBI raid? Melanie's lips thinned. Among other things. She opened the folder just enough for me to see the edge of a surveillance photo. Rita and Lorenzo at a back table in this very bar, documents spread between them. Your wife has been accessing restricted drug trial data. For months. I sipped the scotch. And Lorenzo? Our problem. She snapped the folder shut. But thanks to Priya Sharma's little photo collection, you're now involved. So Priya had been playing both sides. Interesting. What do you want from me? Melanie leaned in. Remedium will settle your divorce quietly. Full custody of assets. No alimony. In return, I don't give these to the press. I slid my phone across the table, displaying the Hotel Del screenshots. Her eyelid twitched. You're well prepared. I'm a financial advisor, Ms. Barnett. Risk mitigation is my job. The next morning, I found Jerry Stone pacing outside the federal courthouse, his custom Brioni suit wrinkled from an all-night strategy session. They're offering immunity, he said without preamble. Rita flips on Lorenzo, walks away with a slap on the wrist. I stared at the courthouse steps. And the divorce? Jerry grinned. Oh, that's the beautiful part. Remedium's general counsel called me at 5 a.m. They'll pay Rita's settlement themselves if you sign an NDA. The numbers flashed in my head. $500,000 in hush money, maybe more. Enough to make her go away permanently. Tell them I want the house free and clear. Jerry nodded. Already in the draft. Priya's betrayal came to light at noon, over an awkward lunch at Juniper and Ivy. She arrived late, sunglasses hiding puffy eyes. Lorenzo fired me this morning. I pushed the tuna crudo away. For sending me those photos? For knowing too much. She gulped her rose. Melanie Barnett told me to cooperate or face charges. So I gave her everything. Everything turned out to be emails showing Rita accessed restricted files. Texts between Lorenzo and a competitor's CEO. Expense reports for their business trips. Priya slid a thumb drive across the table. This is the rest. Use it however you want. I pocketed it. Why help me? She looked out at the San Diego skyline. Because Rita told Lorenzo my husband's gambling debts made me vulnerable. Her voice cracked. Some friend, huh? By 3 p.m., the dominoes began falling. Lorenzo Cole was escorted from Remedium by federal agents. Remedium stock halted trading amid internal investigation headlines. Rita's lawyer called Jerry, suddenly eager to negotiate. I watched it all from my balcony in Del Mar, the Pacific stretching endlessly before me. When Rita finally called, I let it go to voicemail. Her message was brief. You win. 6 months later. The San Diego Union Tribune business section told the story in pieces. Former Remedium VP Cole indicted on trade secrets charges. Pharma exec Archer accepts plea deal, avoids jail time. Coastal Wealth expands compliance division under new EVP Evans. My Del Mar house, now solely in my name, sits quieter these days. The Mont Blanc pen stays in its case. The Macallan gathers dust. This morning, an envelope arrived from Remedium. Inside, a severance check for Priya Sharma, per our undisclosed agreement. I'll drop it at her new apartment in Little Italy tomorrow. As for Rita, the last I heard, she'd moved to Scottsdale. Some startup hired her as a consultant. Lorenzo's trial begins next month. I pour myself one last drink and watch the sunset paint the cliffs gold. In wealth management, we have a saying, compound interest always wins. The first anniversary of the call arrived on a Tuesday, same as the original. San Diego was experiencing one of those rare June mornings where the marine layer refused to burn off, leaving Del Mar shrouded in mist. I stood on my balcony, mine alone now, watching a lone surfer battle the unsettled Pacific. My phone buzzed with a calendar alert. 9 a.m., settlement finalization. Jerry Stone's office had sent over the last documents late last night. Rita's signature, looser than her usual sharp script, like she'd been drinking when she signed, was already in place. All that remained was mine. I scrawled my name with a Bic pen. No more Mont Blanc flourishes. Coastal Wealth Management's headquarters hummed with subdued energy when I arrived. The markets had opened flat, and the usual chatter of analysts was muted. My new corner office, earned after Remedium's board quietly recommended me to lead their restructured compliance division, offered a panoramic view from La Jolla to Point Loma. A knock interrupted my thoughts. Mr. Evans? My assistant, Claire, hovered in the doorway. There's a delivery for you. She placed a slim package on my desk. No return address. Inside lay a single key and a note in handwriting I hadn't seen in months. The last one. Our old safety deposit box key. I'd forgotten about it. California Trust Bank's vault smelled of cold metal and disinfectant. The box contained exactly 3 items. Our original marriage license, San Diego County, faded at the creases. A ultrasound photo, from the pregnancy that ended at 11 weeks, year 3. A handwritten ledger, Rita's meticulous records of every dollar she thought I didn't know she'd spent on Lorenzo. The bank manager cleared his throat. Would you like to renew the box? I slid the contents into my briefcase. No. Lunch at the Prado in Balboa Park should have felt celebratory. Jerry Stone certainly thought so, judging by how quickly he demolished his filet mignon. You realize you won, right? He dabbed his mouth with a linen napkin. House free and clear. No alimony. And that NDA payout from Remedium. He whistled. I've seen hedge fund managers settle for less. Outside the window, a couple argued near the fountain. The woman's gestures reminded me of Rita, sharp, practiced, meant to be seen. It wasn't about winning, I said. Jerry paused, his fork hovering. Then what? I thought of the ultrasound in my briefcase. The way Rita had cried in that sterile doctor's office all those years ago. The way we'd never spoken of it again. Accuracy, I said finally. The San Diego Tribune's business section sat waiting on my doorstep that evening. Former Remedium exec Cole pleads guilty to trade secret theft. The article mentioned Rita only once, cooperating witness, and didn't mention me at all. Inside, the house felt different these days. Smaller, despite being the same 3,200 square feet. I'd replaced the furniture Rita took, opting for clean-lined pieces that left no shadows. The safe in my closet still contained her emerald necklace. I'd found it last month, tucked behind my old golf trophies. She must have missed it in her hurried packing. Now, I held it up to the sunset streaming through the windows. The stones caught the light, flaring green as the Pacific on a clear summer day. My phone buzzed, a text from Claire. Don't forget, you have the Ethics Symposium tomorrow at UCSD. I typed a reply, then hesitated. Scrolled up through our months of professional exchanges. Somewhere around March, the messages had shifted subtly. More emojis. A photo she'd sent of her rescue dog. The kind of slow, organic familiarity I'd forgotten could exist. I added a dog emoji to my reply and hit send. Later, as the fog rolled in off the water, I poured a finger of Macallan, the last from that bottle Rita and I had been saving, and logged into the trust portal. The numbers glowed on screen. Total assets under management: $1,427,863.22. A year ago, this screen would have filled me with satisfaction. Now, it was just a well-balanced portfolio. I transferred $100,000 to a new account, the Evans Financial Ethics Scholarship at my alma mater. Another $50,000 to the San Diego Humane Society. Claire's dog would approve. The final transfer was smaller: $5,000 to an Arizona address. No note, just the ultrasound photo in the memo field. As I shut down the computer, my reflection in the dark monitor surprised me. The lines around my eyes looked softer than they had in years. Outside, the surfer was gone. The Pacific stretched endlessly, its surface gilded by the last light of day. In wealth management, we have a term for moments like this: equilibrium. Here are some questions for you, our viewers. Would you have approved the transfer? Why or why not? Rita or Lorenzo, who do you think deserved worse? What's the most calculated revenge you've ever witnessed? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell because we have more stories coming up just for you.